There is no man so poor as the man who has power and does not know it. There is no man so blind as the man who looks into the mirror and sees only what others have taught him to see. And there is no man so stuck as the man who believes that the circumstances outside of him are greater than the faculties within him. I tell you now, without hesitation and without apology, you are not stuck because you lack time. You are not stuck because you lack money. You are not stuck because of your history. You are stuck because you have not yet mastered the small, invisible habits that create the large, visible transformations. Do not be fooled by the noise of the world. The keys to an extraordinary life are not hidden in some vault of the elite. They are found in the daily decisions that go unseen by most and obeyed by few. And the tragedy? Most people will never discover the quiet power that already lives within them. They will wake, eat, scroll, work, react, sleep, and repeat until time runs out. But not you. Because if you are listening now, it means you have reached the rare stage of awareness, that sacred moment in a person's life when they no longer want to be entertained by illusion, but transformed by truth. And the truth is this: there are 5 small habits that, when mastered, will unlock every door you thought was bolted shut. They are not loud, they are not glamorous, but they are eternal. And when installed with discipline, they will grant you emotional detachment, mental clarity, unshakable self-trust, and a command over your life so rare that people will mistake it for fate. Habit 1. Begin each day in sovereign silence. There is a reason most people live as slaves to emotion, circumstance, and chaos. It is because they begin their day in noise. They check their phone before they check their thoughts. They scroll before they breathe. They respond to the world before responding to their inner voice. And so they hand over their power every morning without resistance to a world that is more interested in their reaction than their results. Understand this and understand it completely. If the first voice you hear each morning is not your own, you do not own the day. You must claim your day with silence, not for peace, but for position. The first 30 minutes of your day are not for consumption, they are for creation. That is when you sit not casually, but with command. You breathe, you observe your thoughts, you write them, you correct them, you speak your affirmations, you read your vision. You say aloud who you are becoming. And you do it every day, especially when it feels like nothing is happening. Because it is in that silence that you become the architect of your inner world and the sovereign of your outer one. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the soil from which all clarity is grown. And those who control their first moments control momentum itself. Habit 2. Speak only that which strengthens your identity. Your life is not built by your circumstances, it is built by your language. Most people live in self-imposed poverty not because of where they are, but because of what they say about where they are. They use language of limitation. I'm tired. I'm just not that type of person. I always mess things up. I can't do that. I'm trying. Trying is the favorite word of those who have given themselves emotional permission to fail without consequence. Let me tell you the truth as sharply as you can bear it. You are not trying. You are rehearsing weakness in your speech and calling it honesty. Your words matter. Your voice is a hammer. Every time you speak, you are either constructing the new version of yourself or you are reinforcing the prison of the old. So from this day forward, you will speak what you intend, not what you feel, not what you fear, not what you've memorized from your past. You will speak as a creator, as a commander, as one who does not beg the world for permission but instructs the subconscious to deliver destiny by design. Say, I am the type of person who shows up no matter what. I do not react emotionally. I respond with principle. I am clear. I am calm. I am consistent. I don't hope for structure. I live by it. This is not ego. This is order. Because when the words are aligned, the mind follows. And when the mind follows, the actions obey. And when the actions obey, the results are no longer a mystery. They are math. Habit 3. Detach emotionally from what does not deserve your power. There is no surer way to fail at life than to pour your energy into things that do not build, do not serve, and do not grow. Most people do not lack effort, they lack discernment. They invest their attention into arguments that do not matter. They replay conversations that were never meant to be rehearsed. They react to posts, people, and pressures that have no authority over their future. Why? Because they have not yet learned to protect their state. You must treat your emotional energy like royalty. Not everyone gets access. Not every idea deserves to enter. Not every opinion is qualified to shape your peace. You must become ruthlessly sovereign over your reactions. Let this truth carve into you with finality. If you can be baited, you can be broken. If you can be triggered, you can be owned. If you can be distracted, you can be delayed. But if you are detached, truly detached, you are invincible. And detachment is not indifference. It is intelligent separation from chaos. It is the ability to look at the world and say, not everything deserves a piece of me. It is what allows you to conserve energy, preserve clarity, and move with a depth that makes you unshakable. From this day forward, you will respond only when it is useful. You will not react for sport. You will not explain for validation. You will not lower your state to match a moment that was designed to derail you. Because now you know what your peace costs, and you refuse to spend it cheaply. Habit 4. Execute one non-negotiable task every day, no matter what. The difference between the weak and the sovereign is not talent. It is follow-through. The weak wait to feel good. The sovereign acts from structure. The weak ask, do I feel like it? The sovereign asks, what did I say I would do? Understand this principle or remain average forever. The greatest transformations are not built in grand bursts, but in silent consistency. One disciplined task, executed every day, without excuse, without emotion, without discussion. That is how empires are built. You choose one thing and it becomes sacred. It might be 1 hour of writing, 1 page of journaling, 1 cold shower, 1 workout, 1 page of reading, 1 decision, 1 act of courage. And you do it every single day until you don't remember who you were without it. Because it's not about the action, it's about what that action proves. It proves that your word is law. It proves that your future matters more than your mood. It proves that discipline, not desire, defines your destiny. And when that habit is installed, you will no longer wonder if you're on the right path. You'll know, because you're walking it regardless of how you feel. Habit 5. End the day with a commanding reflection ritual. Most people let the day end without harvesting its power. They collapse into bed, scroll into fatigue, and wake up with the same unresolved thoughts they went to sleep with. You will not do that. Because when you end the day with intention, you lock in the identity you're building. Each night, take 10 minutes. Just 10. Write. What did I do well today? Where did I slip into emotion over discipline? What will I command differently tomorrow? Who am I becoming? This is not journaling. This is a combat debrief. You are not expressing feelings, you are refining performance. You are not venting. You are upgrading your internal code. Because when you end your day with power, your subconscious is programmed to build while you sleep. And when you rise with momentum. The man who ends the day with reflection begins the next with vision. That is the law. Habit 1 expanded. Begin each day in sovereign silence because your mind is a battlefield. If you allow the world to speak before you do, you forfeit the throne of your own mind. This is not poetic. It is mechanical. Your brain does not wait to think, it begins immediately. And whatever enters first becomes the foundational context through which the rest of the day is interpreted. So, if your day begins with noise, with comparison, with urgency, with emotional weather that is not yours, then you are not thinking, you are reacting. And if you are reacting, you are already losing. Let me give you this truth with finality. You do not own your life until you own your mind. You do not own your mind until you own your mornings. This is where all transformation begins, in the earliest moment when no one is watching, when you could drift back into distraction. But don't. In that silence, you must sit not just to meditate, but to command. You command your direction. You command your state. You command the reinstallation of your identity before anything external has the chance to interfere. Do not check your phone. Check your thinking. Check your tone. Check your presence. And when you rise from that silence, do not rush. Move like a sovereign, calm, certain, intentional, because you are not reacting to the day, you are creating it. Habit 2 expanded, speak only that which strengthens your identity because your tongue is the steering wheel of your life. Words are not sound, words are seed. Every time you speak, your subconscious listens. It does not evaluate, it does not challenge. It simply accepts what is repeated, and then it begins constructing your behavior, your attitude, your responses, your results, all from the blueprint you provided with your voice. You cannot say, I'm tired, and expect vitality. You cannot say, I always quit, and expect endurance. You cannot say, it's hard, and expect solutions. You must become ferociously selective about the language you allow to pass your lips. Because if your voice carries weakness, your behavior will follow. Do not be casual with your words, be surgical. Every phrase must either align you with your vision or be eliminated. So say it clearly. My words are law. I speak only what I intend to become. I describe only what I am commanding into existence. I do not narrate my fears. I do not rehearse my struggle. I do not quote my pain as if it is my identity. You are not your past. You are the architect of what is spoken in the present. And every phrase you repeat becomes a frame around your future. Build wisely. Habit 3, expanded. Detach emotionally from what does not deserve your power because reaction is the tax of the undisciplined. Understand this law. Every reaction costs energy, and your energy is your capital. If you give your emotional capital away to every comment, every delay, every disappointment, every shift in tone, then you will arrive at the door of your destiny exhausted from battles that never mattered. Emotionally reactive people are always behind, not because they lack intelligence, but because they are ruled by triggers. You must now become a strategist, not a reactor. You must begin to ask, does this deserve a response? Will this matter in a decade? Does this build me or drain me? You do not owe anyone your reaction. You do not owe every situation your mood. You do not owe every interruption your internal state. You owe your future your energy. That means you must withdraw your participation from conversations that are designed to weaken you. You must exit arguments with people who are addicted to misunderstanding you. You must learn to walk away not as surrender, but as sovereignty. Because you are building now. And builders do not bicker, they build. Builders do not explain, they execute. Builders do not collapse under insult, they rise above it. You are no longer here to prove yourself. You are here to protect yourself from anything that interrupts your command. Habit 4, expanded. Execute one non-negotiable task every day because consistency is the engine of confidence. You may be brilliant. You may be talented. You may have extraordinary potential, but if you are inconsistent, you are nothing more than a hope. And hopes fade, but identity does not. Your identity is built not on what you feel, but on what you repeat. So, choose one thing, make it sacred, and never miss it. The weak man waits for motivation. The master obeys structure, because he knows this. Every day I execute, I cast another vote for the man I am becoming. Every day I show up, I reinforce the trust I have in myself. Every day I complete my non-negotiable, I prove that my vision is stronger than my feelings. This habit is not optional. It is the steel spine of your new self. Do not explain, do not negotiate, do not adjust based on mood. You made a promise, you keep it. And when you do day after day after day, you will wake up one morning and realize something that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. You trust yourself. And once you have that, no one can stop you. Habit 5, expanded. End the day with a commanding reflection ritual because integration is more important than action. What you do matters. But what you learn from what you do matters more. The average man lives his life like a hamster on a wheel. He repeats patterns, he expends energy, but he never sees his own data. He is blind to himself. The master is different. The master reviews. He does not just act, he refines. He does not just move, he corrects course. He does not just experience, he extracts the wisdom. This is not self-judgment. This is self-governance. Because the man who governs his mind daily will not be governed by life. This is the loop of power. Act, reflect, adjust, advance. And that loop, done for 365 days, will turn you into something few people have ever seen. A fully conscious, fully consistent, fully disciplined creator of destiny. You now understand this. It was never about time. It was never about talent. It was never about access, resources, or even education. It was always and only about governance. He who governs himself governs life. And he who waits to be governed will always kneel. The reason so few ever rise is not because they are not gifted, but because they are owned by emotion, owned by reaction, owned by the approval of the world. But I say this to you now and let it brand into your being. There is no man more free than the one who has mastered the government of his own mind. He does not need permission. He does not need motivation. He does not need applause, understanding, or agreement, because he is no longer living in negotiation. He is living in decision. And decision, my friend, is the most expensive commodity in the universe. Most will never pay the price, because decision requires the death of comfort. It demands the execution of the former self. It requires you to look in the mirror every single day and say, that version of me is not welcome anymore. He who hesitated, she who folded, the one who excused, the one who waited, the one who called it a bad day instead of a broken habit, the one who settled simply because it was familiar. That one is gone. And in that void, a new sovereign rises. One who no longer asks, what do I feel like doing? What do others expect from me? Will I be supported? No. The sovereign mind asks only this. What did I say I would do, and have I done it? This is the birth of inner royalty. And once born, it must be maintained. With discipline, with detachment, with the daily execution of habits that most find too small to matter, but which in truth are the levers of empires. Because success, real success, does not arrive in lightning. It arrives in drops, in daily actions, in unseen decisions, in the consistency that no one claps for, but which heaven and time remember. So now I ask you, and this is no metaphor, what will you do with your next 24 hours? What will you allow into your mind? What will you tolerate in your speech? What will you refuse to react to? What will you complete without emotion, without delay? What will you extract from the day before you lay your head? Because your life, your real life, is no longer determined by inspiration. It is determined by installation. Installed habits, installed beliefs, installed behaviors. And the 5 habits I have delivered to you, if you install them, will change everything. Not because they are new, but because you are finally ready. And readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. So decide. Now, begin each day in sovereign silence and command the day before the world commands you. Speak only that which strengthens your identity, and let your tongue create your future. Detach emotionally from what does not deserve your power, and become unbreakable. Execute one non-negotiable task daily, and build your confidence in silence. End each day with commanding reflection and rise with clarity and momentum. Live this way, and you will no longer be known by your name. You will be known by your effect, because you will walk into rooms differently. You will no longer ask for time. You will own it. You will no longer beg for respect. You will embody it. You will no longer hope for change. You will cause it. You will no longer seek peace. You will radiate it. You will become the rarest type of human, not the one who started, not the one who got excited, but the one who finished. And when the world asks, how did you rebuild from nothing? How did you become so clear? How did you move without fear, without doubt, without noise? You will not answer with a speech. You will not point to a book. You will not recount a story. You will smile. You will pause. And you will say, quietly, but with a force that breaks mountains, I changed 5 small habits and I never went back. You have waited long enough for permission. You have bowed too long to delay. You have negotiated with weakness. You have reasoned with fear. You have postponed your sovereignty to some imagined right time. And I say to you now that time has expired. This is the hour you break the inheritance of mediocrity. This is the hour you bury the voice that says, I'll try. This is the hour you swear a private oath. From this day forward, I do not lower my standard to match my emotion. I raise my behavior to match my vision. You are not here to make sense to the world. You are here to sculpt it. You are not here to blend in. You are here to burn through the fog. You are not here to debate weakness. You are here to outlast it. And to those who ask, how did you do it? You will not say, I got lucky. You will not say, I was inspired. You will not say, it just happened. You will say, I killed comfort before it killed me. I cut the chains of reaction with the blade of awareness. I mastered the hour the world ignored. I obeyed discipline when motivation fled. I did not just change my habits, I installed a new operating system. I did not just improve my life, I rebuilt it in silence, brick by brick, breath by breath, vow by vow. And the world won't understand, but it will respect you, because results speak in a frequency louder than words. And now, you are no longer speaking to change your life. You are moving differently. You walk like a man who owns time. You breathe like a woman who commands space. You speak like a sovereign who has nothing to prove because your results announce your arrival before you ever say a word. This is what happens when a mind becomes still, when habits become sacred, when detachment becomes power, and when execution becomes religion. You stop chasing identity and become it. You stop hoping for peace and embody it. You stop reacting to life and govern it. And when that happens, there is no force on earth, no opinion, no failure, no emotion, no delay, and no rejection that can stop you. Because you are no longer an echo. You are a law, and laws do not explain. Laws do not negotiate. Laws do not beg. Laws enforce. So go. Not with motivation, but with command. Not with excitement, but with certainty. Not with emotion, but with fire-wrapped silence. And carve your life so deeply into this earth that no man, no excuse, no limitation can erase it. This is your hour. Not to wish, not to wait, not to hope, but to decide. And once decided to never return, you are not rebuilding your life anymore. You are reigning over it. And that is final. If you wish to rise above average, you must begin by turning away from the crowd, not physically but mentally, not in contempt but in discipline, not in rebellion but in clarity. For the first law of all success, and I say this with no hesitation, is this. You must focus on yourself, deeply, relentlessly, unapologetically. Because every failure begins with misdirected focus, with attention scattered, with emotions entangled in others' opinions, with energy wasted on that which lies outside your control. The undisciplined man is always watching others. He watches what they say about him. He watches what they post, what they achieve, what they criticize. He watches to compare, to validate, to judge. And in that watching, he forgets to build himself. Let me now give you the first reason, not in theory, but in law. Reason 1, because no one can save you but you. If you are waiting for someone to believe in you before you begin, you will die waiting. If you are waiting for someone to push you, to validate your dream, to pat you on the back and grant you approval, you are handing your power to the crowd. You were not born to be pulled by external strings. You were born to pull yourself by the force of your own will. The man who focuses on himself is not selfish. He is wise. Because he understands this truth. Every breakthrough in life begins with personal responsibility. He does not ask, "Why don't they support me?" He asks, "Why do I still need support to do what I must?" He does not cry, "They don't believe in me." He asks, "Why have I not yet become someone impossible to ignore?" He does not beg the world for opportunity. He builds himself until the world has no choice but to notice. If you hand your self-worth to the crowd, you will live and die in emotional poverty. That is why the focus must begin within. Not on how the world reacts, but on how you respond. Not on what they think, but on what you believe. Not on what they give you, but on what you demand from yourself. The man who disciplines his mind becomes his own master. The man who depends on others becomes their slave. Reason 2. Because emotional detachment is the gateway to power. You cannot control your reality until you control your response to it. And you cannot control your response if you are still entangled in emotion. Understand this and understand it well. Your emotions are messengers, but they are not masters. You may feel them, but you must not obey them. The man who obeys emotion forfeits reason. The man who reacts without thinking loses his edge. The man who must feel right before acting will never act with force. If you study every man of greatness, the inventor, the general, the empire builder, you will find not a man who felt perfect, but a man who acted in spite of feeling. He understood this. Clarity is born in detachment. Detachment is born in discipline. And discipline begins by focusing on yourself. The world will throw noise at you. People will test you. Your own mind will tempt you with anxiety, doubt, envy, and distraction. But if you train your focus inward and you observe before you react, if you pause before you speak, if you breathe before you decide, then you are no longer a puppet to emotion. You are now a commander of response. And that is where power begins. Reason 3. Because mastery is a private matter before it becomes a public victory. The world celebrates the outcome, but the mind celebrates the process. If you chase applause, you will perform. If you chase purpose, you will build. And only one of these paths will make you free. Focusing on yourself means falling in love with private practice. It means becoming obsessed with improving while no one is watching. It means waking up and asking not, "Who sees me?" but "Who am I becoming?" Your future will not be determined by what you do once in public, but by what you train relentlessly in silence. The bodybuilder earns his strength in the gym, not on stage. The speaker earns his influence in quiet study, not the spotlight. The leader earns his authority through lonely responsibility, not Instagram quotes. Mastery is forged in invisible repetitions. And that repetition requires one thing: focus on the self, not the crowd, not the news, not the algorithm, the self. And until you learn to focus there in that private arena, you will continue to seek applause to replace the emptiness you feel from your untrained mind. Reason 4, because comparison is the poison of purpose. When you look outward for identity, you lose your own. There will always be someone faster, someone richer, someone more eloquent, someone more polished. But the man of focus is not competing with the world. He is competing with his own standard. Focusing on yourself means you set the benchmark and you do not lower it, regardless of what others do. The man who focuses outward is a thermometer, he reflects the temperature. The man who focuses inward is a thermostat, he sets it. And in this world, filled with noise and distraction, only one thing creates authority: inner alignment. If you are chasing others, you will always trail them. But if you are chasing your highest self, the world will have no choice but to follow you. Reason 5, because peace comes not from escape, but from inner mastery. Many think success means escaping stress, escaping pressure, escaping criticism. But that is a lie. Success is not escape. It is control. You do not run from the storm. You become the calm within it. And that calm is not given. It is earned through the focused training of your own thoughts. Peace is not found in silence. Peace is found in self-command. And self-command begins when you focus on the inner battlefield. You master your morning. You discipline your reactions. You stop negotiating with excuses. You align your thoughts with truth, not emotion. And when the inner world obeys you, the outer world can no longer shake you. You are no longer reacting. You are leading. And a man who leads himself is a man who needs no rescue. He has already rescued himself. Reason 6. Because the world bows to those who rule themselves. This is not philosophy. This is reality. Look around you at every empire, every institution, every man of wealth, power, and influence. Beneath the surface, beneath the titles, beneath the gold and marble, you will find the same unshakable foundation, self-rule. No man has ever commanded others who did not first command himself. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is strategic, because until you can govern your thoughts, master your impulses, and lead your own life, you are not qualified to lead anything else. The man who reacts is ruled. The man who responds is sovereign. And what does it mean to be sovereign? It means you no longer apologize for being disciplined. You no longer seek approval for choosing solitude. You no longer fear the judgment of those who fear their own reflection. You understand what most never will. To lead yourself is the rarest power in the world, because it cannot be inherited, bought, or faked. It must be earned in the battlefield of the mind. And once you have that power, it cannot be taken. You may lose money, but not your composure. You may face betrayal, but not emotional collapse. You may walk alone, but not without direction. This, I tell you, is not theoretical. It is practical. Because the man who governs himself becomes undeniable. Not because of charm, not because of performance, but because of presence, the magnetic authority that only comes from radical self-mastery. He walks into a room and others feel it. He speaks and others listen. He chooses and others follow because they sense. Here is a man who does not flinch. Reason 7. Because destiny is not found, it is built by inner force. Let me now deliver the final secret, the final law, the 7th reason why you must focus on yourself with relentless, almost sacred dedication. You were not put here to search for your destiny. You were put here to build it brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. The man who focuses outward asks, "What is my path?" The man who focuses inward asks, "What am I becoming that creates the path?" The difference is colossal, because one man waits, and one man builds. One man searches for a light, and the other becomes the light. You do not find destiny, you forge it. And you do so by the quality of your focus, the weight of your thoughts, and the fire of your daily action. And here is the greatest revelation of all. When you stop chasing the world, and you turn inward with purpose, when you quiet the noise, and you listen to your conscience like a general listens to a battlefield map, when you demand more from yourself than anyone ever demanded of you, that is the moment your destiny begins to obey. Not fate, not luck, not opportunity. You with your daily standards. You with your inner dominion. You with your trained mind, your forged will, your untouchable calm. That is when destiny kneels. Not to your potential, but to your discipline. Now listen closely. Do not mistake this message as a motivational cry. This is not inspiration, this is law. And law is not debated, it is obeyed. You have been given the 7 reasons, but they mean nothing unless you act. You must now choose. Will you continue leaking power by scattering your attention, chasing validation, obeying emotion, fearing criticism? Or will you withdraw your focus from the world and aim it like a laser on the one place it belongs? Your mind, your discipline, your becoming. Because the truth is this: everything you want already exists just beyond the walls of your current thinking. But those walls will not fall from the outside in. They must be shattered from the inside out by the man who refuses to remain who he used to be. So stop watching others. Stop measuring your worth by metrics. Stop wasting time in emotional reactivity. Stop outsourcing your peace to people who don't even master their own chaos. And begin. Begin with thought. Begin with solitude. Begin with silence, structure, strategy. Begin with such intensity that the man you were yesterday trembles before the one you are becoming. Because in this world, my friend, the only success that lasts is the success that comes from within. And the only man who wins is the one who no longer waits. So choose. Choose to rise. Choose to detach. Choose to build. Choose to lead. Choose to become. Not later. Not when you feel like it. Not when they finally believe in you. Not when it's convenient. But now, because now is the only place your destiny will ever listen. And if you do, if you decide to focus not on what others are doing, but on what you are commanding yourself to become, then hear me clearly. You will rise so far above the crowd that they will not know whether to follow, fear, or worship. But by then it won't matter, because you will not be watching them. You will not need them. You will be too busy, leading your life, training your mind, and forging the only kingdom that can never fall, the kingdom within. And so I speak now not to your ears, but to the core of your being, the self that knows and can no longer pretend not to know, the self that is tired of being a spectator in its own life, the self that craves not comfort but command. Because once you have tasted the strength of inner clarity, you cannot return to chaos. Once you have walked upright in the armor of discipline, you cannot crawl again in the robes of weakness. Once you have seen, truly seen, that the battlefield was never the world, but the untrained impulses within, then everything changes. And now you know. Now you know why the masses remain stagnant, chasing secrets, consuming advice, starting and stopping because they never cross the threshold of self-responsibility. They never learn to sit with their own thoughts like a commander sits with his generals, without emotion, without delusion, without excuse. They never made the final decision. And let me be clear. There is a decision so final, so binding, that once made, you are no longer the same creature who walked in doubt. It is the decision to rule yourself regardless of who sees it, who supports it, or who understands it. It is the decision to become dangerous to your former self. The moment you stop living as if you need permission, the moment you stop explaining discipline to those addicted to comfort, the moment you begin acting as if your soul is under oath to greatness, that is the moment life itself begins to shift in your favor. Because life does not reward the confused. It does not bless the emotional. It does not elevate the dependent. It crowns the disciplined. It favors the clear-minded. It empowers the man who no longer waits for favorable winds, but sets his own sail by the force of mental clarity. And hear me, your fate is not written in the stars. It is written in the margins of your daily routine. What do you tolerate from yourself in secret? What do you permit when no one is watching? What thoughts do you allow to linger? What words do you speak to your mind when you rise each morning? Because those are the rituals of kingship. Those are the unseen codes of dominion. Those are the disciplines that separate the master from the mediocre. A man becomes powerful the moment he stops entertaining weakness. He becomes influential the moment he disciplines his language, his energy, and his time. He becomes immortal in impact, in legacy, and truth the moment he stops living for the crowd and begins building from principle. And so I ask you, in the voice of history, in the tone of unrelenting success, are you ready to become unrecognizable to your former self? Are you ready to be misunderstood by the world and respected by destiny? Are you ready to walk alone for a season so you can walk in purpose for a lifetime? Then let me speak directly to your will. Rise before the world wakes. Plan before emotion stirs. Speak only what builds. Act only when aligned with purpose. Correct yourself before life has to, and remain unmoved when the winds of gossip, envy, or fear howl around you. Because when your mind is trained, you are no longer in the game of survival. You are in the domain of expansion. You are no longer hoping, you are engineering. You are no longer drifting, you are building. And the man who builds with such internal force cannot be broken by external circumstance. You will face storms, but you will walk through them dry. You will face resistance, but you will thank it for sharpening your edge. You will face loneliness, but you will turn it into clarity. And you will face yourself every day with the dignity of a man who knows he was sent here to lead. Because leadership begins not with a title, but with thought. Not with a crowd, but with conviction. Not with a plan, but with an inner government that does not collapse when emotions rise. And if you can build that, if you can command that there is no mountain, no gate, no room, no stage, no fortune that will be denied you, now be bold enough to claim it. You were not born to watch. You were not built to compare. You were not designed to wait. You were forged by struggle, by fire, by solitude to command yourself into greatness. And the moment you do, the moment you rise above the emotional, the reactive, the scattered, you will find a stillness that terrifies the undisciplined. You will find a force that humbles the loud. And you will find a power so rooted in truth that nothing, not failure, not loss, not betrayal can shake you. This is the path. It is not soft, it is not fast, it is not for everyone. But it is for you, because you are still listening. And if you are still listening, you are not lost, you are awakening. Now move not emotionally, but strategically. Not impulsively, but intentionally. Not to please, but to become. There is no higher focus. There is no nobler task. There is no greater wealth than the man who owns himself. And if you commit to that, you will not just change your life, you will redefine what is possible for everyone who watches you live it. You are no longer here to consume wisdom. You are here to embody it. You are no longer here to hope things change. You are here to command change by the weight of your thoughts, your habits, your presence. You are no longer here to wonder what your potential is. You are here to meet it eye to eye and demand it kneel. Because here is the final law, the law that separates the awakened from the wandering. The man who controls himself controls the conditions of his life. Not perfectly, not painlessly, but powerfully. He does not beg for peace, he creates it through detachment. He does not chase status, he earns it through discipline. He does not wish for clarity, he extracts it by slaying emotion with thought. He wakes with intention. He moves with structure. He speaks with force. And when he is silent, even his stillness teaches. This is the man the world remembers. This is the man the world cannot ignore. Because when you train your mind like a millionaire trains his fortune, you no longer operate by trends, you operate by principle. And principle cannot be canceled. It cannot be swayed. It cannot be bribed. It only bows to the one who lives by it no matter the cost. And so I say to you, build your mind as you would build a kingdom. Guard your thoughts as you would guard a throne. Train your focus as you would sharpen a blade. Do not speak of your future, command it into existence. Do not explain your path, walk it so fiercely that the ground itself remembers. Do not wait to be seen. Become so disciplined, so deliberate, so exacting in your standards that the world has no choice but to move out of your way or fall beneath your steps. And if they ask what changed, you tell them nothing outside changed. Only one thing shifted. You stopped watching the crowd, and you began focusing, with relentless obsession, on building the one person who could never abandon you, yourself. And when that happens, when that inner fire is no longer temporary but permanent, when your rituals are no longer reactions but rain, when your presence no longer fluctuates with feeling but stands immovable with purpose, then, my friend, you have done the rarest thing a human being can do. You have become the one thing this noisy, reactive, approval-addicted world cannot compete with. A man who is ruled by principle, moved by vision, and commanded by no one but his higher self. And that man cannot be forgotten. Let this not be a conclusion, but a conquest. Because the man who hears these words and does not act has wasted a revelation, but the man who hears and ignites becomes a phenomenon the world cannot contain. So hear me now, not softly, not as suggestion, but as law written in thunder. You will either be ruled by your inner world or enslaved by the outer one. There is no middle ground. If you do not govern your mind, someone else will. If you do not discipline your emotions, life will discipline you. If you do not build your own identity, the world will brand you like cattle and hand you a mask to wear for the rest of your life. And I will not let you accept that. Not now, not after this. You have been given the truth. You have walked through the furnace of revelation, and you now stand at the edge of your own legend, the version of you who never bows again. So let the old habits rot. Let the small thoughts decay. Let the fears wither and starve. Let the emotional addictions die screaming in the shadows. And walk out of your old self like a king walking out of a burning castle. Because you will never go back. You will not kneel to chaos again. You will not worship the opinions of cowards. You will not hand your power to the winds of reaction. You will not wake up another morning doubting your worth, questioning your steps, apologizing for your clarity, or begging the blind to see your vision. No, those days are over. Because the mind you now possess is not average. It is not casual. It is not available to everyone. It is a fortress of will. It is a weapon of truth. It is a temple of discipline. And when the world tests you as it will, you will not shake, you will not fold, you will not ask permission. You will respond as one who has trained for this moment in secret. You will move as one who no longer needs applause to validate action. You will lead as one whose silence has become more powerful than most men's entire presence. And you will do it not for glory, not for show, but because you made a vow, a sacred, unbreakable vow to become the last version of yourself that ever needed saving. So rise now. Rise like thunder over a sleeping land. Rise like a soul that remembers its ancient strength. Rise like a king who's come back from exile. Rise like destiny has been waiting for you, and it has. Because the world does not remember those who asked for a chance. It remembers those who took command of their own becoming. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. You are not here to fit in. You are here to reshape the atmosphere by your presence. You are not here to prove anything to anyone. You are here to fulfill everything within you that was waiting to be unlocked. And the key has been in your mind this whole time. So use it and unlock a life no one will ever forget. Not because of what you had, but because of what you became